Hey, welcome to this Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. And a freaking Frankie Friday it will be because Frank Morano has so much stuff for you. I'm going to bring him in right away. Joining me as always,
my
co-host and managing editor of Liquid Lunch TV.
Happy Friday and happy National Selfie Day to those of you that observe.
Yeah, we did a little selfie a little earlier. We'll show that to our audience. But go out. And if you're not one of the billions of people already taking selfies today, go out and take a selfie because it's National Selfie Day.
Absolutely.
And right here in New York, it's just after high noon Eastern. And on Liquid Lunch, we want to tell you what's going on in the markets in the middle of the day. And on Friday, there are crazy things going on. As we talked about a couple of weeks ago, a close on Friday above 26,000, I thought would push the market to 27. A close on Friday today above 27 could rocket this thing right to 28,000. As we speak right now, the market sits at 26,800. Maybe a little fears the last couple of days. Troops were moving to Iran, so there was a little uncertainty. Frankly, we overcame a major disaster last night when apparently some of the hawks in the White House, like John Bolton and co., had troops headed over to Iran because of our drone that supposedly got shut down.
Well, you know, I hope we could talk about this throughout the show because this is pretty interesting to think that we almost carried out a military airstrike for a robot, a flying robot that was shot down. Thankfully, the president has better instincts than some of the people around him. But we'll get into it throughout the show. That is one of the many stories that you're going to hear about as we span the globe, span the country, and your neck of the woods. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has left Washington, D.C. with assurances from President Donald Trump that he will assist Canada in its rift with China. President Trump said he would do anything to help Canada during his upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Mr. Trudeau said he expected the topic of 2 Canadians detained in China to be raised during that G20 meeting. The Prime Minister was in the U.S. capital city to discuss China and trade. Of course, the diplomatic tensions between Canada and China have only worsened since Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou was detained in Vancouver at the request of the United States in December. The Senate is moving to reject President Trump's arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Several Republicans joined Democrats in approving a series of resolutions, and now it goes to the House. It's doubtful, however, that votes exist to override an expected presidential veto. Many lawmakers are upset with Saudi Arabia's reported role in the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. And finally, President Donald Trump's former advisor, Roger Stone, who is awaiting trial on charges brought by the special counsel, is violating the terms of his pre-release by commenting on his legal case, at least according to federal prosecutors in a court filing. Stone was hit with a gag order in February after he posted a photo of Judge Amy Berman Jackson on Instagram with what appeared to be crosshairs next to her head. In a new court filing, prosecutors cited 8 recent examples of Stone allegedly violating the terms of the order forbidding him from discussing his criminal case. I will be hosting a fundraiser for Roger Stone tomorrow evening in Staten Island, New York. Tickets are available. Go to my Facebook page at facebook.com/MoranoFan.
Hey, that was, as usual, another great spanning the globe, Frankie. And that final topic there, the Roger Stone, I like the way you say, I will be throwing. I'm trying to help here. I mean, Roger's our friend. We're promoting him and his defense fund every day on the show. I think it's more of a we thing.
You're absolutely right. I do want to be considerate of potential repercussions for everybody involved. You know, there was somebody that you said yesterday just gave you $500 in cash because they didn't want to be publicly associated with that. The venue where we're hosting this fundraiser tomorrow evening has been threatened with people saying we're not going to go there anymore. People holding weddings and parties there saying we're going to cancel. So I didn't want to go out on a limb and say but since you're voluntarily outing yourself, you're unmasking yourself, as it were.
Easy with the outing.
It is absolutely a we thing. Tickets still available. Go to facebook.com/MoranoFan. It is right at the top. And I got to tell you, and I know you're going to get into this in our legal segment with Matthew J. Mary later, but to me, it's crazy to have a gag order, number one. You have one side that can plant negative stories about Roger Stone all day long in every publication in America, and then Roger dares to go or try to go on TV and give his side of the story. Oh, my goodness, he's going to affect the jury pool. Give me a break. And what they're claiming is a violation of this gag order here is total, absolute nonsense. He is reposting on Instagram his lawyer's own public filing. He's posting public documents, and they're claiming that it's a violation of the gag order. It's total nonsense.
I think the judge has been lenient with him because she kind of realizes that, you know, it's an unfair fight he's in against the government. But I hope they don't gag him, but there's a very good chance that if you don't come to the fundraiser on Saturday and they throw him in the pen next week, it may be the last fundraiser he has. It may be the last time we ever hear from him again, for all we know.
Certainly is going to be the last one for a while. Now, we also talked about the situation regarding the U.S. Senate and Saudi Arabia. This is a rare instance of bipartisanship in Washington, where you saw Democrats and the Republicans come together in the U.S. Senate and say, you know, maybe we shouldn't be selling weapons to an Islamic theocracy, monarchical 19th century style country where they still execute people for adultery and sorcery.
Could you
and
get a couple more adjectives in there?
I can. And as I think of a few more, this is what Rand Paul said on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Certainly was speaking for me.
This is a big deal and a big vote. And it's my hope that the American people will watch how people vote and decide, is this who I want representing me? Do I want someone representing me who's selling arms to people who hate our country? To people who spend hundreds of billions of dollars on schools teaching hatred of our country? Do I want to have people representing me who continue to flood the Middle East with arms?
Answer, no.
Right, and I've been saying this for a while. You think liquid lunch, you know, we're over here having a few drinks and we have on Democrats and Republicans, but we are kind of pro-Trump and his economic policies. But there are places that I depart. There are many places where Frankie departs. But Donald Trump ran and told this country he's going to build a wall. He told us we're not a country if we don't have borders. He said he was going to stop with all this international interventionism. And one thing that I could say is I'm with Rand Paul on this. We want to bring our troops back. We want to protect our borders. We want to build that wall. But most importantly, we want to stop getting in fights around the world and focus on what Donald said he was running on, making America great again.
Well, and you know what? When every time a Yemeni civilian gets bombed by a Saudi bomb, especially if it's a bus full of school children, every time that bomb says "Made in the USA" on it, all you're doing is creating more terrorists. I get that Saudi Arabia has a lot of money, but Saudi Arabia waving around their giant checkbook to American defense manufacturers and to American think tanks, and yes, to American media entities, that's no reason we should forget about what they did in terms of September 11th, and it's no reason we should turn a blind eye to human rights abuse after human rights abuse, going far beyond Jamal Khashoggi. Well, one country that we seem to, at least as of yesterday, have a slightly better relationship with than Iran is Canada. We saw the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, at the White House yesterday. They seem to be getting along pretty well.
It seemed like it. I mean, the pictures, Trump's body language was a little Angela Merkel-like. Like when he was talking to Angela Merkel, he was kind of just stiff and rigid. But it seems like there's a working relationship. And, you know, I think on both our borders, both Mexico and Canada, realize that Trump is not bluffing. That if he has to raise tariffs, if he has to get tougher with them, he's willing to do it. I think our neighbors are starting to cooperate as they should be.
Well, you know, it was great to see, Mexico become the first country to approve the new revised and improved USMCA, which replaces the NAFTA deal, which was an awful deal for America, at least. And it was great to see Justin Trudeau come out in favor of it. And the question, USMCA, this is something that the Democrats and the Republicans should absolutely be moving towards. How can we not improve and approve this trade agreement? Approve the USMCA.
If Adam Baumel, our Democrat today, doesn't make it to the studio to face off against CEO of the One Empire Group, John Burnett, we may put Frankie in that seat because so far today he's been against the Trump administration on just about every single topic.
By saying we should approve the deal that the president negotiated,
let the guy negotiate. He's still negotiating. We're going to sign.
He negotiated. He negotiated.
The lead dog in the negotiation is the last one to sign because you want to throw a couple of last things in there.
This is such an outrageous transgression of the truth that I can't wait until the end of the show. The president is the one that negotiated the deal.
Agreed.
Congress needs to approve the deal.
Agreed.
Why won't Congress approve the deal? I'm
will.
being supportive of the president.
I'm sure they will, but I'm sure the president also wants to get a few last-minute trinkets in there, like any good negotiator. So if he wanted to press on Congress, I guess he'd press on Congress harder. All right, maybe you weren't opposing the president. That's the way I heard it. I understand what you're saying.
No, I'm opposing Nancy Pelosi dragging her feet on opposing the USMCA.
Okay.
Well,
as long as our neighbors are happy, we had a handshake deal.
Absolutely.
The best deals are the handshake deals. If there's honor anywhere in the world, it certainly is in New York for the most part. But also, I want to just go back to the market for a minute, Frank, because the stock market is on fire. Okay, the Fed said they're not going to cut or raise interest rates. They're going to hold steady right here, which is good for savers. Many in our audience, they're baby boomers. They're relying on their income from their cash in the bank and some very conservative income derivative securities. And we like the rates here. I'd like to see them a little higher for them. But the market loves hearing that no cut, maybe one cut before the end of the year, and it puts a little more certainty, and the stock market's on fire. And I just want to weigh in that I try to point out these things, but on Morning Joe this morning, they set up such a joke that they started the show saying, thank God Donald Trump finally did something good, something reasonable. He pulled back the troops. He pushed back on the hawks like John Bolton. Thank God. And within 5 minutes, it transgressed into Morning Joe saying how now all the dictators in the world know that Donald Trump's a bluffer and he's a bully and he's not going to do it at the end. So what are they doing?
Well, so on the Scarborough spectrum, the president can never be right. If he attacks Iran, then he's engaging in a military intervention he shouldn't be. And if he doesn't, then he shows that he's just bluffing. I mean, come on. He can't be wrong all the time. He's either right or he's wrong. He can't always be wrong.
These are false narratives, and you won't see them here where the purple people hang out. Coming up right after this, Adam Baumel on the left, John Burnett on the right. We're going to mix it up with the purple people.
Show us your business. Email John Tobacco at jt@thetokenteam.com, and you may get your chance to appear on Liquid Lunch Live.